Hey everyone, Miranda Pitrone back here with you. Today I'm going to show you the black contrast stone. The latest video I did before this was a lovely little flower rainbow mandala here. And this one was done on the white stone. So I talked about doing the contrast on a black just to show you the difference in the pop of color, and especially after we varnish them. It's going to look awesome. So I'm going to also use dotting tools to create this one, the dotting styluses. So those are the ones with the ball on the end. And mine are just bent because I bent them, but normally they come straight like this. So I prefer to use them angled just so I can see where I'm dotting better. I just find it easier. Can hold it like a pencil, just makes my life easier. I do sell them in my Etsy shop as well when I get them in stock, so keep an eye in the description for the links for that if you're looking for some angled dotting tools. All right, so that being said, the other one was done with brushes, the other video. So this way we'll have two different videos here, but just to show the contrast on the darker stone. So for this one too, these are natural stones just like the other one, and some people think it can present a challenge when you're doing the mandalas, because generally a mandala is circular, can be circular, but I like to, I don't know, these are a fun challenge, so I like to kind of just see where it goes on the stone. And with these ones too, the oval ones, you can kind of place it up here a little bit, make a little flower out of it, do a little design at the bottom, which I think is what I'm going to do with this one, because we have a good amount of space down here once we finish up doing our little rainbow mandala. All right, I'm going to get my act together here and we will get started. All right, I'm going to use the same color scheme, but not the same design. So as I did with the white stone. So I started off with titanium white for the center, and I'm using the largest dotting tool. It's about 3 millimeters. It's the green one of the rainbow set. And as I said a little bit earlier, it's arbitrary where I put my center because it's just where do I want my design. So I kind of went a little bit higher on this one because I'm going to just do a little S-curl or some scroll type thing at the bottom here. So I'm starting off with a dot of the titanium white, and I'm gonna go with a smaller dotting stylus, the smallest I have, which is actually, I call it my etcher. If you guys are new to my videos, the etcher is just a dotting tool that I broke the end off, so it's sharp like a toothpick. So if you don't have an etcher, don't despair. I can make you one, or you could go and grab a toothpick, or also a mechanical pencil is about the same size. Yes, you can dot with pencils too. Or the backs of paintbrushes. I mean, whatever you can find that you're willing to dip in paint. So for this one, I just did above and below, and then two at the 45-degree angles. And that's just to start off our design, because we work from the center and then work our way out. And that'll help us keep our symmetry. Just as an aside, also I want to say with the etcher on these black stones, I could actually sketch guidelines if I wanted. So if you guys have this type of stone, or if you've painted a black background, you can actually just kind of scratch onto it. And then once you varnish it, or I can use a little bit of water here, it just goes away after. So if there are any lines still showing after you do your guidelines, you can just dampen a cloth or something after your paint is dried and just wipe them off. So, but we don't really need the guidelines if we're just doing a simple little mandala like that. We start off with our dots in the right spot, and the spacing will fall into line on its own as long as we kind of keep the dot size consistent. All right, so the second color we used, and the last one, was True Red. And these paints are all from the Decoart Americana line. So I'm using a smaller dotting tool, but I'm going in between each of the white dots that we put down. And I talked so much that the white dots are dry, but generally you want to wait until the round dries a little bit so that your dots don't bleed into one another, and then you can get them in closer to each other. So if proximity is part of your goals, definitely let the rounds dry so you don't let them bleed into one another. All right, the next color is Royal Fuchsia. So what's this one here? And these are what the bottles look like. They're Americana Decoart. And I'm using the same size tool that I did for the red, for the fuchsia. And we're just going to go in between our red dots here. Alright, next color is Coral. And if ever you're stuck for a color combination, I mean rainbow, how can you go wrong with a rainbow order, right? Just pick some of the shades in rainbow order and you kind of can't go wrong. Doesn't look too crazy with the colors all together if you're going in the order. But also, if you are looking, I have a Pinterest page now called Color Palettes, just Miranda Pitrone Art Pinterest, and it's color palettes. I have a whole board of color combinations that are super fun to try out. So for this coral, I'm going to go a little bit larger of a dot above our red. And I think too, it helps your progress a little easier once you've decided a color combination. I generally just kind of wing it with the designs, but having a color combination in mind usually is helpful for me. You may be somebody who needs to plan the whole thing out too, so you can draw your grid lines, get your colors ready, and make your whole plan before you even start your mandalas. So that'll kind of ease the stress, I think, too, of worrying about your design. Another suggestion I would like to make too that people have found very helpful is walking away. If you feel like you're messing it up, take a break, walk away. Even after like 5 minutes or so, sometimes if you come back and just look at it, you're like, wow, I did that. And it's like amazing if you just get away from it for a little bit, because you're up close and personal creating your stone. And sometimes, you know, you're getting into it and it starts to get frustrating, or it's not going the way you had originally planned. And sometimes we just need to take a break, walk away, and I promise when you come back, you'll see it in a different light. All right, the next color I have is Sunny Day. It's really a happy yellow. I kind of love this one. We're going to go in between our corals on this one with a little bit larger of a dot. That's because I brighten it up with that nice yellow. So I'm using the green dotting tool, which is my largest. If you have other sets, it's about the 3mm size. So even if you purchase the wood set from me, it's the largest stylus that you'll have in your set. If you guys are looking for Decoart paints or the turntable or any of the products that I use in the video too, I usually post them in my description, just so you know. A lot of people ask me where I get things, but I post all the links that I can in the description so that you guys can get them if you want. Or like I said, the ankle dotting tools I put in my Etsy shop. So I'll post the link for my website so you can get to that. All right, there is our Sunny Day drops. Nice and bright. Alright, now, as I did with the other design, I went around our sunny drops with a little bit of a darker yellow, just to kind of contrast it on the white stone. So I'm going to do the darker cadmium yellow around them, but I'm going to go around them again with either a white or the sunny day again, just on the black stone, because I feel like the lighter colors really help contrast it a little better. But I also wanted to toss in a little bit of this cadmium because it's a great color. I'm using my etcher, so smallest dotting tool. And I'm just going around the larger drops of the sunny day that we did. Oops, I didn't mix that. So word to the wise, if you are getting oily looking dots or the dot doesn't look like it's a full dot and you are using the Decoart paints, it's because it didn't get shaken enough. Shaken, not stirred, no. Shake them up good, and then your dots will come out nice and bright. I get a little excited and rush through, so I didn't shake that one up well enough. Also, those of you who know me know I have a 2-year-old that likes to come down and interrupt my videos, so it is an effort to get something done before I am invaded. So just like I showed in the other video, you can do these little dots with a liner brush as well if you don't have dotting tools. Oh, I just smeared that guy. How did I do that? Alright, so if you have painted your black background, you can just scrape that yellow off and paint black over it with black paint. But because I did not do that with this, I'm going to have to hurry up and grab my water here. You can fast forward through this part if you don't want to see how to fix a mistake, but a lot of people keep baby wipes handy too. I just take a liner brush, clean it off, and try to scrape as much of the paint off as I can in that area. And if you have other suggestions, I am also open to hearing them. Some people use Q-tips too to just kind of scrape it off. See, I got crazy with the oily paint. So I just kind of gently stick my liner brush in there and let it soak up the paint. So if you do it while it's wet and catch it like that, then you're gonna be all right. Now if it's dry, before you varnish, and you notice a mistake, you can go in there with something sharp and just kind of scrape the paint off and then redot it with that color. So it's not the end of the world. Don't scrap your project. It's gonna be okay. You also can go back and paint over the area. So I could have just repainted over a lot of it. But because we don't have a background on this one, and I caught it quick while it was wet, we're gonna do that. I almost used the wrong color. Alright. Here we go, cadmium yellow. Alright, so as I said, after the cadmium, I'm debating the white or the sunny day. I think I'm going to go with the sunny day and actually just do a little ring around the cadmium. And if you do a larger dot at the top and keep the dots really tight in, it kind of starts to create a point in your design, which is more like a petal. So that way too, it gives you that more flower look of like a flower petal. So with the brushes, you just change the pressure with the application of the dots that are graduated in size, but with a dotting tool, you just work your way around, letting the dot run off or the paint rather run off the tool, which will progress to smaller dots. You don't have to change the size of your tool. I'm just using the etcher. I make a larger dot at the top, and then, like I said, just let the paint run off your tool. Actually, I'm pretty sure I said let the dot run off your tool. So let the paint run out on your tool. But you see how on the black stone too, it really brightens it up using the lighter paint of the sunny day around. Alright, so the next is this lovely Irish moss. And we're going to use the etcher, the smaller one, and we're going to put just kind of a little platform dot here in between the yellows. And I mean platform for our next larger green dot. Okay, and actually I'm just looking at the shape of our stone here, and I'm gonna do the bluegrass green, but we're gonna use the greens as a platform for our final blue dot, which actually starts the mass of the petal on the outside. So I want to go, let's do two little dots here of the bluegrass green on either side of the moss green. This bluegrass, oh, I am in love with this color. Not too blue, it's not too green. It's like the perfect blend of the two. It's bright, it's rich. If it wasn't a paint, I'd probably want to eat it. I'm just kidding. So two on either side of the moss green. There we go. Alright, so I'm just zooming in a little bit here to give you a better look at how our progress is going. So we just put down the two bluegrass, and now I'm going to switch to a larger dotting tool. And we're going to go with some desert turquoise. And that one is also, it's a little bit bluer, so obviously more turquoise than the bluegrass green. So it helps us with that progression of the rainbow colors. I'm going with a larger dotting tool so we can do a larger dot out here above those two bluegrass greens. So 3mm. Alright, so for the rings around these, and the other one I used navy as one of the rings, I'm going to omit that from this one. Just because the navy is too dark, it will not show up on the stone. So I will start with Shoreline, and I think we'll be able to fit probably 1, 2, 3 rows around these guys. So we'll do 2 of the Shoreline. And I'm gonna use the smallest dotting tool that I have at first, which is my etcher. And like I said, we'll do 2 rows of the Shoreline. So you could let this dry and then come back to it if you're concerned with them bleeding into one another. Or I'm just gonna do both right now. This stone has a couple little indentations on it here, so I'm just trying to fill them in. But one thing you can do if you have a stone that is not completely smooth is you can seal it before you start painting with a varnish. Some people use like wood filler or Mod Podge or any of those, but just a simple 1 coat of sealant would help. Wow, butterfingers. Another thing with doing mandalas is you just want to make sure you have, like say I chose to put a diamond in here, make sure all your spaces where you want to put a diamond, you have enough room. So for whatever design element you choose to add, you just want to make sure that you have enough space all the way around your mandala. So that's kind of what I was doing with measuring how many rings I thought we could fit in. I'm not sure what other people do on their instructional videos, but I've taken to kind of giving you guys my thoughts as I go along, just because I feel like it's been very helpful to people to hear what I'm thinking and also kind of describe what I'm doing, like especially with the brushes. You can't see that I'm pushing down harder to make the larger dots than I do the small. So I try to tell you each time as I'm doing the video, okay, making bigger dots, I'm pushing down harder with the brush. With the dotting tools, it's a little different. You don't have to, like you can see that I'm using the same paint on the tool here and just letting it run out. So there's less I have to describe, but just so you know, and it's my adopted idea of trying to be helpful with the description in a lot of my videos. Also, I just want to encourage you to say hi in the comments. Tell me where you're from. I love hearing where people are from to see where we're reaching. I don't know. Tell me something you liked about any of the videos. Tell me what you might like to see in future videos. It just gets the conversations going a little bit too. Plus, if you ask a question or something like that, and then I get to it to answer it, then other people get to see the answer as well, because the replies are public. So maybe there's a bunch of other people who are trying to think of asking that question and either don't feel confident in asking it, or for whatever reason they don't, but then they still get it answered, because a lot of times we all have the same questions. So I just want to encourage you to interact and say hi. I've also started a new thing where if you've done a creation from one of my videos, feel free to email me a photo or tag me on Facebook or Instagram. And I've started doing little cameos with sharing people's works of art that they've created from my videos. So I think it's good for other people to see too that you can do these designs as possible. So it gives other people hope. So think about that in the future. If you want, you could share some photos with me, and I'd be happy to try to share them so that others can see they can do it. Alright, so I'm just debating here. I think we'll do a round of white to just kind of delineate these flower petals a bit. So we're going to go back to our titanium white. And I'm going to go a little bit larger, not the etcher, but the next end of the dotting tool, which is just the other end of the yellow. And I'm going to go with the biggest dot up here. And then to keep that kind of petal shape, we're going to let them go smaller here on the sides. If you want to change the look of yours, you can keep them the same size all around. It'll be another different look. And it won't be coming to a point as much. It'll keep your round shape going. So as I said, I omitted the navy from the outer rows, but I think I might use navy to top dot our turquoise here. Just because it was kind of like a mini challenge to myself to use the same color palette for doing this. And the top dots give it a little more depth too. I know a lot of you have asked about the 3D dots. Sometimes it's just multiple layers of paint. So it does take a bit of patience, but other times there's people, they use the fine needle tip applicator bottles or henna cones. I've even seen people using pastry bags, which is just amazing, or Ziploc bags, and then you just cut the tip off the end. So just like any tool, it just takes a little bit of practice with gauging, getting used to using it, and gauging how much paint you need and how much comes out at a time. And it's just really amazing all the creativity there is in this world. Alright, Royal Navy, where are you? Here you are. Alright, so Royal Navy actually was one of the colors that came out in 2019. But if you follow the trends or color of the year or anything like that, this year's color, I believe for Pantone, is like a true classic blue. So the blues are gonna be in. So I encourage you to check out some blue colors. I think it is probably one of the colors I have the most of, maybe just because there's the most shades of blue in their paint series. I'm not sure. I haven't ever counted them all. But I think this, yeah, that navy on top of the turquoise, it does it justice with a nice little contrast. But the navy is so pretty. I hate not to be able to use it. Alright, so now moving on to our purples. We have Purple Pizzazz, which I mentioned in the other video is one of my absolute favorite purples. Not usually a purple fan, but this one, I absolutely love it. It's kind of like the Bluegrass green is. It's really rich, it's bright when it dries. When you go back over it with varnish, oh, it's yummy. Alright, here we come swipes. So, smaller dotting tool. This is not the edger, it is the other end. And I just overload my tool quite a bit. Let me see if I can get both in the screen here. Let's back out a little bit here. Alright, so I'm really just dipping the whole thing under. It's not gentle dipping. It's really, I have a good blob in there in the palette, in the well. It's submerging it completely until it's just about dripping off the tool. And then swipes with a dotting tool I think is a lot easier for people. Just get up the confidence and go for it. So this is about the size of my tool here that I need to do the length of the swipe I need. And like I said in the other video, it just comes with experience. So practicing, like on a piece of paper, how far does the swipe go for this size dotting tool? You know, you can just cut out a little sheet of paper. And for this size dotting tool with a good amount of paint, you just put it down drag it out, and then you can measure how long. If I grab the green one, the larger dotting tool, submerge it in the paint here, start in the same place, and then drag it out. Oh, that one even went short. I'm not really sure why I did that. And I just stuck my hand in paint. But anyway, you can get a feel for how long you can make the dots go, or the swipes go. And sometimes too, like if it runs out too early, I'll grab the tail of it again. So the tail back of each swipe, and you can kind of make them go longer if you need to. All right, now back to our previous program. Purple, pizzazz on the smaller dotting tool of the yellow. And I'm just going around either side, but I'm just going to do the pizzazz on one side because in the other stone I used a lighter color on the other side. And really too, I cannot stress enough about taking your time. Everybody calls them swishes, swipes, dot drag. I mean, all the things that you call it, comma, stroke even, it just implies that you're doing it quickly, but you don't have to. You can take your time. You can do a tripod for your hand so you're steady. And just slowly pull it up to where you want it to go. Same with the brushes even. You just take your time. And see, this one's a little bit longer space that I need it for, so I'm just grabbing back at the top here and making that paint go a little bit farther. See that one, you can make it go a little bit farther. With these ones that are angled, here's a little trick. If you've filled the whole angle with paint, if you tilt it a little bit, it keeps it connected to the stone, and the slower the better actually, because you're just wicking the paint along. It just keeps on dragging the paint off the tool because it's continuously connected to the tool. And that way you get a nice little tail at the end there. Alrighty, so for our last little swipe here, I have purple pearl, purple petal rather, and I'm just going to go down the other side of our blue petals here. Same size dotting tool that we just used for the other swipe. They're just going the opposite direction now. We're starting here and we're going to pull it around. Going slower also allows, like especially on a natural stone, it allows you to kind of navigate the bumps in the road. So this stone has a couple deposits in it. It looks like quartz. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but you know, I'm hitting them and you can kind of hear it crunch. But you can see it doesn't mess it up if you just go slow and take your time and work it around. And think about too the directionality of how you're doing it. Like right now I'm going counterclockwise here. No, clockwise. So on your video it looks like that. But you could also pull it towards you. Instead of pushing away, I can pull it towards myself. Get a little more paint. So it depends on which direction you're comfortable and what tools you're using. You just have to find your comfort zone with where you're at. All right, so now I'm just gonna take my etcher, the etcher. I'm gonna go with a little bit of white now in between our petals. Smallest dotting tool, and you can do this with a toothpick. You can do the swipes with a toothpick. They are not as hard or intimidating as they seem, I promise. And so this is tinier, but I'm still gonna start about where they bend. A little U-bend here. And we're just gonna drag it straight instead of on a curve. And see, that actually worked out quite well for these two areas because I did not think ahead to measure to make sure that this white swipe would fit in all my spots all the way around. Here I am telling you guys to do that. But I should have done the same. Thankfully, it worked out. But that's a good reminder to always double check. It's where it's gonna go in. All right. Looking pretty good. All right, so now that we have dried quite a bit here in our center, I'm going to go back and grab the peaches and cream. Don't worry, I didn't forget that little one. It's the lighter corally peach type color. And if you don't have it, you can just mix a little white in your coral, which I'm sure you already know. And we're gonna take the etcher with some small dots and just on either side here on the bottom of the yellow, we're gonna tuck in some peaches and cream. Can tell I have kids. Tuck in for the night, right? Or just tucking in those peaches and creams. And one last little round here. And it kind of fills in the center a little bit. All right. Now, since my sunny day is already pretty light, we could go for some white on top of that, I think. You don't have to do top dots. I just find it gives it a little more dimension, but it's also pretty without them. So, but I'm just going to do a white dot here in the middle of each of our sunny days, and I'm using the yellow dotting tool, so it's the smallest one, the small end, but not the etcher. There we go. Looking pretty fun. So this rock has about 3 inches, but I didn't want to have to leave this blank. You could, if you have a stone that's like an oval shape like this as well, you could do a name, you could write hope, you could write the date. There's lots of things you can do with that space. But I think if I'm gauging the space correctly here, I'll do a nice little scroll. And like I said before, we can etch on here to just kind of see what it looks like. Just like that. Not sure if you guys can see it. There we go. So then it just kind of gives you something you can follow to dot with. There are a lot of stencils out there as well, so if you're not feeling like you can sketch out designs that you prefer, there's stencils that are available. I know Decoart makes a lot of them. but there are also other companies. And I'm just using the edger end to do some kind of more dainty dots, I guess, because I want to make it look a little more dainty is the word I'm looking for, I guess. Delicate. Here, but you can see it just adds a nice fun little element to the space, and you didn't have to have a totally round stone. All right, so now I am going to wait for this to dry, and then I'm going to varnish this and its sister stone, and then I'm going to come back on and show you all how different they look with the varnish on them, especially the black stone. Just can't wait to show you how much it pops. I'll be back. All right, so this is the varnish I'm going to be using on these, and I just apply it with a sponge brush, nothing exciting, and I just do one coat, actually, nice thick coat, and that's it. So I just apply it fairly thick, and I don't work it too much, so I don't keep rebrushing the same sections. But it is so shiny. This one still has a little bit to dry, but it will dry that bright. And you can see the pop. So this is the Duraclear Gloss Varnish. If you prefer your work to stay matte, they also have a matte varnish, which will be more subdued and not as high glossy. Just so you can see the differences. And on our sister stones here, so the one white, one black. There you go. All right, y'all. I hope this was fun for you, seeing the difference of the two stones with the same color combos. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you all. And like I said, please feel free to engage and comment as always. I'll be starting to choose photos here and there when people create something using my designs. I'll post it as a cameo and give you credit, and others can see how helpful these design tutorials could be for them. So thank you so much. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you all have an awesome day. Bye for now.